pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you call the roll, please?
Yes. Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Mr. Workman?
Yes.
Mr. Volodai?
Yes.
Dr. Bennett? Mrs. Getzmann? Not here yet.
Approval of the minutes for the May 19th meeting.
So moved to approve.
I'll second.
Rotate back and forth.
Mr. Volodai?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Mr. Workman?
Yes. Motion carried. Accommodations and communications.
Yeah, I'll take it, and then I'll take it from reports. Thank you for attending. We had shuttle service because the parking lot's full, so just easy. I don't know where you all had to park, but it was way out there. But, I don't know what we'd have done without a field house. We will have a couple board members joining us here momentarily. They're part of the Career Center board, and they had a board meeting tonight as well. That's why we backed up to 6:30, thinking maybe we would make that work, and yet we'll still continue forward. So we do have one report tonight, and it's a food service presentation. So Meg Reed, I'm going to go ahead and kind of turn it over to you, and Meg will give us a little bit of an update on some of the things that have been happening in food service.
Hi, how are you? Thank you for having me this evening. So I know I haven't met some of you. I am Meg Reed. I am your food service director with Aramark. Happy to be standing here today after finishing my first year here with Mount Vernon. I survived it through some trials and tribulations, but it really was a fantastic year, and I wanted the opportunity to share with you some of the things that we've done. Go ahead, Bill.
Okay.
So as you know, our district went into a full CEP model this year. So previous years it was just Dan Emmett and Pleasant Street, to my understanding, that offered those free meals. So this year the entire district went into a full CEP meal model. So that definitely helped with meal participation. But I'll have to give my own self a little bit of credit. We definitely offered some different menu varieties, menu choices. My staff really did a great job this year taking in all of the changes, taking me in, taking Aramark in, and as you can see, we really progressed with those numbers. So altogether, it adds up to about 53 or so thousand meals that we increased from last year. Go ahead, Bill.
And so we actually improved the breakfast from 107 to 160,000.
Yep, breakfast was our biggest jump. You know, again, I wasn't here in years prior, so I can't speak to exactly that reason, but definitely allowing it to be free, allowing every student to walk by breakfast really helped with that. Next year, I'm looking at changing a couple of the schools over to a different model of breakfast, hoping to increase that participation even more. Lunch, there wasn't that big of a jump, but again, with some of the changes that we are proposing and looking into for the upcoming school year, specifically moving Dan Emmett and Wiggins Street Elementaries over to a full service model versus the little packaged meals, that should help that lunch count skyrocket for us.
The word proposed there, that's what you proposed we would do.
That was in the proposal from Aramark
Right.
back in
Prior
July,
to that,
I believe,
it was
of last
even
year.
less.
So shortly after spring break, we did put out a student survey to try and gain some of their perspectives on how the student nutrition program went this year. Unfortunately, because it went out around spring break, some other challenges that we presented with that, there was only about 300 students that participated, but those 300 students spoke to me loud and clear. A couple of things that they asked for was a broader and better and improved communication on the menu. So right now the menu's up on our website, and then it's printed inside of the cafeteria itself. So I'm going to explore some ideas on how to get that a bit broader, so mom and dad can see it a little bit easier. It's updated more regularly, and really students can see what their options are before they get to the school day and throughout the school day. So that's definitely something I'll be working on. The other message, and you can move to the next slide for me, Bill. The other message that was loud and clear was continuing to offer a lot more choices, a lot more variety, increasing some of the healthy options, increasing our vegetarian options, Although we are doing some of those things, again, I think it comes back down to some communication, really highlighting those items, that this is your healthy option of the day, this is your vegetarian option of the day. So I'm going to be working with my team this year to really help market that, speak to that when the students come in, and really help to increase that service level so that we're just speaking a little bit more clearly about our menu and what our choices are each day. You want to skip? And then you can see there on the right-hand side, those are some of the highlighted items that came out of the survey. Again, as I mentioned, healthier options, a little bit more variety, increased vegetarian items, things of that nature. And again, I think some of those things we were already tackling. We can just do it a little bit better. We can increase some of our visibility to those items.
I noticed larger portion sizes in the K-5.
That one troubles me a little bit, but again, I do think that some of that is the perspective of the prepackaged meals. It looks so tiny in those trays that we have to use for the smaller elementaries. So I'm hoping that maybe the perception of our students will change when we can get 2 more schools into a full service model, scooping and serving from a hot station. That should definitely change. A lot of this is perception, I think.
Next.
Yep, go right ahead. So during spring break, we implemented some marketing in the middle school and the high school. So the top portion there is some middle school. We upgraded some signage, put in different menu boards, things of that nature to again help communicate with our students. The bottom few pictures is what happened in the high school. Definitely a larger impact there at the high school because of the space. But again, kind of helps to distinguish the line a little bit as to where our cold options are, where our hot options are, and then they start the line with today's menu. So again, I'll be changing that around a little bit to help emphasize what we are serving every day to help increase that communication level. Next slide. And then just for sharing purposes, we certified 10 of my employees over winter break in the Serve Safe credentials, so that helps increase our food safety program, making sure that our head cooks in all of our schools have those credentials to serve our students safely. Go ahead. And then I just wanted to touch a little bit. I know that there's a large conversation occurring here about all the challenges that we have within our elementary schools and why we might be proposing some new things here in the future with different schools or different renovations. So I just wanted to highlight from my own perspective some of the current challenges that we do have in our elementary schools. So 3 of those schools do not have a commercial kitchen. They are more of a shared space with staff lounges, with gyms, with art rooms, with music rooms, and or none of the above, and they're really kind of working out of a corner or a closet, so that's definitely a challenge. And again, that kind of goes there to my next point, that it just creates a limited space for production. It limits our abilities to really broaden our horizons and improve on the food service program overall. And as I mentioned, 4 of our schools are already sharing their space with gym, art, music, what have you, which really puts some difficulty on our production, setting up, tearing down. It really kind of takes away from our entire model of a student nutrition program. And it also leads to some safety concerns, the way we have to move things in, move things out, where we're storing them. It does create some of that safety challenges, having to move hot equipment in and out of student areas where students may be taking place in another activity. So overall, the menu in the student nutrition program is limited just in part by the current layouts and the setups of the food service space. In terms of the secondary schools, the space themselves isn't really the challenge as it is the age of the space. There is a lot more that we could do if the age of the space was updated, newer equipment, taking down some walls, making it a brighter, more open space to allow for better flow of the line and better service. So I think that was my last slide. So again, we really did have a great year. I know we've spoke about it in recent days that we had a few staff members retire this year, so we'll be trying to find some new team members to continue with our student nutrition program in the next year.
I have a question. Thank you so much for all the information. Could you just give it a little camera shot of what kind of foods are provided to the children within the last 3 to 4 weeks of school?
Is there something specific you're looking for? Like
Whether, I mean,
narrowing it down to that timeline?
are they still, do you still have available a full breakfast?
Oh, yes.
And are there any sack lunches that are made?
We did sack lunches in the month of May to accommodate to the field trips, to fifth grade camp, to things of that nature. There were days that we provided sack lunches at the request of the principal just because of other activities that may have been happening in the school to make the ease of service a little bit better. But as much as I could handle under my own control, we did offer that regular menu during the month of May that we did the entire school year.
Right. Thank you.
Oh, sure. Anything else I can answer for you? All right, well, thank you again for your time.
Thank you, Megan.
Okay, moving on. Send the gavel over.
There were no board, let's see, I don't see anybody here for student government. April is not here. Mike is not here. No public participation, so we will move on to board items for discussion, and we have none at this time. So additions and deletions.
We do have a couple here. So we got an addition of Wright Specialty insurance renewal. Kind of came in late, and we wanted to make sure we got that on the agenda so that we were insured. We did realize that we had one employee, in this case it's Sherry Miglin, who was in there for a contract, but it wasn't her contract cycle. And so, no, we want Sherry, she does a great job, but she is not at the end of her contract cycle, and so we realized that and pulled it. Josh Nowicki is an addition to the agenda as a middle school principal at our middle school. And we did rescind a contract for summer food service in one hand, but we added a summer food service person to help us, and Debbie. And so those are some of your additions and deletions in the agenda this evening.
Wonderful, thank you. All right, moving on to superintendent's report.
So, you would think the summertime, everything just slows down and nothing, we just, but that's not the case. If you shuttled in, as we were teasing before y'all got here, I've not seen the parking lot this full in a June in a long time. So there's a lot going on. Ever since graduation, there have been a couple of really neat things going on that we kind of want to highlight. Here it is, June 23rd. Our boys volleyball team was state runner-up, and that was after our last board meeting. And so to see our young men go down to Wittenberg and to win that first game on Friday, and then go back down on Saturday and actually, compete against the two-time state returning champions. We really held serve, so to speak, but unfortunately we didn't win in the long run. But so impressed with our boys program, and it was our first state runner-up team trophy. Even more importantly to me, and this is a great shot, but Chad Sivright, our coach, was honored and recognized at the state championship induction by his peers. These are fellow coaches at his divisional level, and given the OHSA Sportsmanship, Ethics, and Integrity Award. That says a whole lot about who's leading our young men and the kind of things that he brings. And I got a chance after the match, a tough one that they lost, just to be able to share that with him, how important that was to us, that he's recognized in that way and that he leads in that way. So a special kind of accommodation to Chad Sivright. So as if that wasn't enough, our girls softball team went on a tear, had an incredible year, 27 wins. Went down to Firestone Stadium on, this would have been, I'm trying to think, it was Saturday, Sunday. So Saturday we went down and the girls won, beat a pitcher who's going to Notre Dame, just a team that had been to the state Final Four 3 years in a row. And it was just a wonderful Saturday night. Came back and people were buzzing. We called people to try to get orange and black on the tower. And they did that, thankfully, and the enthusiasm was really high. Then on Sunday, unfortunately, through a rain delay, the game was supposed to start at 1:30, didn't start till after 3 o'clock. But our girls really showed their spirit. We were winning the whole game up to the 5th inning, had just kind of a little tough 5th inning. Tried to make it come back at the end, but came up just a little bit short. But again, a second state runner-up for our girls team and Coach Pence. And there's some really quality seniors in that group, but some really good underclassmen too. And even the underclassmen just went to an event here this last weekend and took first. All the underclassmen took first at a big Pickering Central thing. So it looks promising for continued success with our Lady Jackets. So 2 state runner-ups. Not to be outdone, Kennedy Howard took 4th in the OHSA state track in pole vault. And I think she went 12 feet 6 inches, if I'm not, something like that.
That sounds about right, yeah.
And I think she's got some years left to kind of keep improving upon that. So what a wonderful spring after our last board meeting, and we graduated, 270 some seniors, so it's really been kind of exciting. And we just got some additional news. So Alex Taylor is a junior wrestler at Mount Vernon. This winter, he was a state champion, our first state champion. Well, he wasn't satisfied with all of that. He was then invited to Nevada, and in Nevada, he took first place, which put him on the U.S. team. And so this past weekend, he was down in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, and competing in the Pan American Games. He competed in the U17, Greco-Roman style wrestling and freestyle wrestling. He was the champion in the freestyle wrestling on the left, and on the right he took second, a silver medal in the Greco-Roman. And here in the end of July, 1st of August, he heads to the World Championships, which is in Athens, Greece. And Alex is just a junior for us. And so he's been training out at the U.S. Olympic Training Center. Many of you know he already has a full ride to Arizona State. And so, he just continues to kind of shine a light on Mount Vernon, and we're proud of him. So I thought I would bring that to your attention. So it has been busy in that regard.
A good busy, though.
A good busy.
Good busy and a good chance to do. I created this. It's really short. I thought I'd just share it really quick. It's only like 3 minutes. So we're so thankful to the Ariel Foundation, their support in a lot of areas, from 5th grade camp to our 8th grade class trip. And our advisors that went on the Washington, D.C. trip really challenged some of the kiddos to just say thank you for, their 3 or 4 days there that they spend there. So let me see if I can't just kind of let this kind of play and you can kind of see it there. Hopefully it can play here. I think we got to have some sound, Matt.
Ariel for supporting our trip. I'm Calvin Highhouse.
I'm Ryder Frazee.
And my favorite part of the trip was going to the Washington Monument.
And my favorite part was going to the U.S. Capitol.
My name is Kylie, and thank you for funding our trip. And my favorite part of the trip was the Holocaust Museum and the 9/11 Memorial, because I learned so much and it really challenged me to be there.
Thank you, Ariel Foundation. My name is Chase. I had a blast on this trip. Thank you for funding us with your money. I had really fun at the baseball game. And yeah.
My name is Reese. Thank you so much for funding our trip. It was a great opportunity. My favorite part was laying the wreath. It was such a fun experience to honor the Tomb of the Unknown Soldiers, and I also like the Washington Monument.
My name's Annie J.
And my name is Palmer Holton.
And we'd like to thank
Ariel Foundation.
for supporting our trip to Washington, D.C.
And Gettysburg.
and allowing us to view these eye-opening and visual interpretations to advance our knowledge on the history of our country.
And my favorite part was hanging out with my friends and seeing all the structures.
Thank you.
My name's Andrea, and I want to thank you for funding for our Washington, D.C. trip. My favorite part was going to the Holocaust Museum. It helped me learn a lot more about what happened to the Jews.
Hi, my name is Adair, and I would like to thank you, Ariel Foundation, for supporting Mount Vernon Middle School and paying for our DC trip. My favorite part of this trip was the Natural History Museum, and I'd like to thank you guys for making this possible.
Hi, I'm Ella. And I'm Emma. Thank you so much, Ariel, for supporting our trip. It was so much fun.
Our favorite place that we were able to visit was the Lincoln Memorial.
It was so cool to see. It's so cool to see Washington's house.
Thank you again.
Hi, I'm Evan. I just want to say thank you, Ariel, for funding the Orioles game. I seriously had a great time because it was my first non-Cleveland baseball game. So thank you guys so much for that and all the other fun.
Hi, my name's Lena, and I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to be able to go to DC. My favorite part of the trip was visiting the Holocaust Museum. It really had a deep impact on how I view life because I realized that life is very fragile and precious.
Thank you, Air Foundation.
The house is very beautiful.
Thank you for funding it.
Hi, my name's Julia Buena. Thank you so much for funding our trip. My favorite part of the DC trip was probably the Holocaust because it changed my perspective on how I viewed the Holocaust before I came on the trip. And I just thought it was very memorable.
Hi, my name is Lissy Fuller. I'm a teacher at Mount Vernon, and thank you so much for funding a large portion of this trip for our students. It's an awesome opportunity. I'm super grateful and thankful to be able to lead them around places like Mount Vernon and the monuments and all the different memorials. So thank you so much.
你好，我的名字叫做陈新畅，非常感谢你们对这次旅行的赞助，让我能够玩这么多好玩的事情，所以谢谢你们。我最喜欢的一个环节是华盛顿的房子，它和我们的学校是一个名字。Thank you, I'm Winnie.
Hi, I'm Christina Chenevey. I'm the trip coordinator in Mount Vernon Middle School's DC trip. I just want to thank you so much for supporting our kids and supporting our trip and making it financially possible for so many of our kids to see these awesome things that we teach about, including here at Mount Vernon. I teach 8th grade history, so it's really cool to teach about Mount Vernon and then actually get the kids to come here and experience it firsthand. So thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Darren Prince, and I'm the principal at Mount Vernon Middle School. I'd like to say thank you to the Ariel Foundation for continuing to sponsor our students to go on this trip. It's awesome to see our students go to Washington, D.C., where they get a chance to view all the memorials, and as a veteran, I can tell you that it means a lot to me that they get a chance to experience that and learn more about those that fought for their freedom. So thank you, really appreciate it, and we look forward to next year.
Thank you.
This is great.
It's always nice to be able to show your appreciation. I know I met with Jen Odenweller here last week, and they had been given the video, and so when they realize that the kind of funds that they're giving can provide, you know, that kind of experience, it fills them up. One of the other ones they do, and I'm just going to share with you one. It's only 2 minutes. Every year we do a 5th grade outdoor education camp with all of our 5th graders. And we think it's a really neat culminating event where we can bring schools together before they all go to the middle school. In the past, we would bring all 6 elementaries together and we'd spend a couple nights together, and that was always really interesting. Ever since COVID, they've kind of had to back off on the overnight thing. So now we do two districts at a time, or 2 buildings at a time. And just some of the things they get to do here are really, really neat. And I didn't think I'd have to download anything. And if I don't, then you can look that up. Let's see it. See if it downloaded quick. Again, another really wonderful opportunity for our kids to get outdoors, and you saw they were inside just for a little bit. We had we always have contingency plans, so we have 5 kind of time slots where we have different activities, and we had a thunderstorm roll through during one time slot, so we all went inside, but it's really one of the highlights. I like to spend a lot of my time at the zip line. The thing the kids talk about the most, and it's the one I want to make sure we're the safest on, and so it's a really good time, and Ariel helps support that as well. So again, special thanks to them. The one thing I wanted to have just an open session real briefly is a master facility plan discussion and recommendation. As you well know, we spent the last year really taking a good look at our master facilities and our plan, and we've got a wonderful committee that's done a lot of work. We met over 7 different times. We took tours of every single one of our buildings. We really established some priorities, worked with the OFCC, identified our drivers and identified our challenges. And it culminated in a really nice community meeting in May, at which point we said we'd come back and we'd talk about what next steps are. I felt like coming out of that, we were really able to kind of lay the groundwork for the need. Certainly our 6 elementaries have served us incredibly well, but they do have shortcomings, and we need to address those. And I think we've come up with a good plan to do it. But then the next question that came to us after that meeting was timing. And I still, to the core of my depth of my heart, believe we need to address our facilities, our aging facilities. We originally had a thought of being on the November ballot. And I reached out to our facility planning committee members who have spent the last year with us and asked a very simple question: is this the right time? And I got a lot of responses back, a lot of enthusiastic, we have to keep going with this. But I did get back a lot of feedback that, you know what, maybe it's not the right time right now. And again, I know we've talked about this on several different occasions. If I were to kind of make a recommendation to the board or for your consideration, is that we don't put it on the November ballot. We're sitting here waiting on a biennial budget that is really challenging for us right now. We don't know what that's going to be about. We've got property tax relief bills right now that are really up in the air. And while I still believe wholeheartedly we can certainly share the need and share a great plan, is this the right time financially to go for it? And I think we'd be better served if we waited until potentially a May election to see how things start to turn over, because I want to put our best foot forward. Because I think most people would say, we agree with you that we need to update our facilities, but we want to be able to feel good about how we can financially move forward and afford to do it as well. So I don't know if the board has some thoughts. I felt like we needed to kind of bring this kind of somewhere so that we can we can either put it on the front burner or we put it on the back burner on warm, because I don't want it to go cold. I want to keep this process moving. It just might potentially mean slowing down a little bit. So any thoughts from the board at this point in time?
First of all, I think the report from food service did credit to the need that we need to address our facilities, particularly at the elementary level. I think that it's obvious that that's what we need to do. Where would our standing be with the state funding in delaying this?
So I did meet with the OFCC and actually talked to one of them even today. And we would stay right in line where we're at currently.
Okay.
They were already, because we had, actually initially we had talked about a potential May a year ago. And we didn't feel like the committee had kind of made it through our work by that May timeframe enough to really put our due diligence. Now I believe we did put in the due diligence, and we talked about in November with the Ohio Facilities Construction Commission, which they continued to say we would be in good stead. They would take our plan to their planning commission in December, and then they would give us 16 months to secure our funding, or in other words, go for a bond. So we stay kind of in that pipeline. They've guaranteed that we would be next in line should we decide to move forward and pass a levy. So we would have 16 months from December to do that.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Any other thoughts?
No, I would concur. I think we need to wait until at least May, keep the conversation alive, and continue to explore. But I think at this point in time, with so many uncertainties, I think it would behoove us to wait until we have a more solid plan.
I agree with that as well. I think there's a lot of uncertainty. I mean, to get on the November ballot means that we would have to do the legwork this summer to get on there. And with the state budget being up in the air as it is, the property tax situation being up in the air as it is, and not allowing some time there for people to kind of get what's this new routine look like, and then asking them for the financial commitment of passing a bond issue kind of runs counterintuitive. So I would agree with Jody about May or subsequent to that. So
yeah, I agree. Yeah. No, and thanks to Jody and Tim for being a part of that. Andrew was a part of that as well, and so we certainly appreciate that. And I think that was kind of the general sentiment among the committee members who responded. Although there were a couple that were like, "No, let's go," and it was I think it was their heart saying, "We really want this for our kids moving forward," but yet the timing isn't quite there. So. Hopefully we'll find better news over the course of the next couple months, whether it's the biennial budget or the economy kind of starts to take a little bit of a shift in a more positive direction to where we can really put our energies towards a really good kind of a capital campaign to kind of set the district on a stage for a future that really looks bright from a facility planning process. Okay, good. Thank you. And then the last thing I have here, a July board meeting. It's originally scheduled for July 21st. There's a bit of a conflict there. And we can touch bases with you and get in touch with you through Jessica. But take a look at potentially the Monday previous, July 14th. There isn't a lot of things that we do in July. It's one of our lighter months. And yet, when we get into close to August, it starts getting busy again. So there's potentially that Monday, July 14th. We could go to Thursday, July 24th. We could even go to Monday, July 28th if we needed to. It's just that 14th isn't quite the right date for right now. So I'm not asking for you to make a commitment to that right now. Take a look at that on your calendar and we'll reach out and we'll certainly make sure that's available for the public to know when our next meeting in July is.
And you said Jessica will send out
Yeah, I'll have her
something
send
to
out a
us.
notice to see what your preference might be. And then, even in July, generally we try to stay at our 6 o'clock, but sometimes in the summer, those times can even adjust if we need to. We have a number of items for board approval in the superintendent section, number of home, community, school, student participants. We have all of the student handbooks there for your review. A portion of the administrative handbook is there as well, especially the central office classified group. They have kind of a unique calendar. They have a June 31st, a July 1st to June 31st. And that one was a little bit easier to complete. I'm still working on the second section of that, which is more the administrative side of things. And we'll have that to you at our July meeting. Those 3 items for your approval tonight.
All right, I would entertain a motion for superintendent's recommended items for approval.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Regola-Dye.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Workman. And are there questions or comments? Hearing none, would you call the roll?
Mr. Regola-Dye?
Yes.
Mr. Workman?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Dr. Bennett?
Yes.
Mrs. Getzmann?
Yes. Motion carried. All right, moving on to curriculum instruction and staff development. Dr. Bennett?
I was going to just mention the first item, but I don't even think I need to do that in the interest of time. But, that was kind of interesting what they did for vets, and it is an international program, so they raised $5,000. The first year they did it, and $3,500 is their goal for this year. But the students get to paint, and the community gets to support the vets, and it all goes for a good cause, and makes the students feel like they're contributing to the community. So it's a great program.
And the Success website continues to put out really neat things monthly that are going on. The joy that sometimes I get in looking at it is how many things we kind of do, right? Like the therapy dog.
I usually don't mention those because
Didn't we do the empty bowls?
I'm sorry?
Didn't we do the empty bowls one time with middle school students or something?
I don't know about the empty bowls. We've done the rocks, the painting of the rock, the kindness rocks. Yeah.
And the research article is interesting too, but then it says at the end how it hasn't been peer reviewed, so I wasn't sure.
And we've been strengthening our principal pipeline. So yeah, all those are kind of interesting to see as we go along. A number of items for board approval in this section tonight. Believe it or not, the band, choir, and orchestra are already planning on their Florida trip, which is not next year, but it's the following year. But I think in light of those Disney kind of tours and sending groups down, you plan well in advance. And Trevor's here. I don't know if there's anything you want to add about the trip.
I was just here in case there were questions.
Yeah, thank you.
So, but it's a trip we take every 4 years. It really bonds our music students, and they come back with this amazing bond that carries into the next couple of school years. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity for most of them to go with their high school buddies to Disney World and Universal Studios. It creates memories. I went to a few grad parties and plastered on their picture boards were pictures from Disney and Universal. So it's just a great opportunity for our music students. They get to perform down there. They get to enjoy some time in the parks, and it's just a great experience for everybody. So.
I think when you go to the end of the year concerts, you know, that kind of the senior awards time, whether it's choir, orchestra, or band, they'll generally have either a narrative or they'll even say, you know, what was one of the things they'll really remember. And they do say a lot of other wonderful things, but you hear the Disney trip often.
And we're looking to do our kickoff meeting in September of this school year to spread out the payments farther than we did last year. So we were hoping to gain percentage and participation by doing that. It would bring the cost, if you did it by month, they don't have to pay by the month, but it would bring the cost down to about $100 per month by starting it in September and going all the way through 3 years. $1,485 per per student.
Not cheap.
That's not bad.
Disney prices keep going up.
That's the thing, yeah.
And then the second item in this section for approval tonight is the gifted service plan, which Matt Dill works on a yearly basis. He updates that every year. And so those two items for your approval.
I would entertain a motion for approval for the curriculum instruction items.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Vergolidai.
I'll
Second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Dr. Bennett. Any additional questions or comments?
I'd just like to thank the orchestra director and our band director and our choir director for providing this opportunity for our kids. And I think we have one of the best music programs in the state. Just my personal opinion.
Hey, we like it.
Don't fly us in here.
Would you call the roll, please?
Ms. Vergolidai?
Yes.
Dr. Bennett?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Mr. Workman?
Yes.
Mrs. Getzman?
Yes. Motion carried. Moving on to fiscal services.
Okay, we have the May 2025 financial report. This is the next to the last month of the fiscal year, obviously. If you want to just scroll down, Bill, we can go quickly through. This is our cash reconciliation. This is all funds. You can see we balanced there with our, I think we had a $6.84 we were carrying from the bank. Something we were looking for, I know somebody put something in wrong. This is obviously the end of May, June 1, 2025. We're at 96% of what we thought we would be getting, so we're right basically on target. We should have been at 91. The reason those are at 100 is because we adjusted them all in May when we did the 5-year forecast in May. So everything is right where it should be for the revenues. The expenses are also, we're a little bit lower on the purchase services, so that's good if the expenses come in a little lower. The next page is the investments. You can see we're at $836,000. We could possibly get closer to $1 million by the end of fiscal year, but we've got one more month to go on that. There were two other items I just wanted to point out on revenue that probably I have not mentioned before. We have two sources that we get every year. One is Medicaid, and we have our folks who work with our kids, our handicapped kids, have to document any kid who's on Medicaid. They have to document everything that they do with those kids and it gets sent in. It's quite a complicated procedure. And we work with some folks over in Worcester at an ESC, TCCSC over there. And they all have to document all of that, and every single minute that they work with those kids has to be processed. And it goes through quite a procedure. We actually pay the people at TCCSC. It's not that much. I think it might be $20,000 or $30,000 a year. But that gets processed, and then we get reimbursed for that. Jody, you might be aware of that. For 2022, 2023, we just got our reimbursement. $417,000, and we get that every year. So that's a nice little bunch of money that back in the day, it used to be called cat money. And people, you know, the technicians were not very happy. And it's the reason why a lot of them have assistants now, because that's paperwork. And that's not what these folks are trained to do. They're trained to be therapists and work with the kids. Yeah. So they have technicians to do that, but $417,000. The other item that we have is catastrophic cost. So, you know, some of our kids who have really serious needs, that we get the money from the state, and it's weighted money. So for, you know, the more serious the needs are, the more money we get for each kid. Mm-hmm. And in some cases, it's still not what we spend on them because we have equipment and so forth. And there's a process that we can do at the end of the year. It's called catastrophic cost. And again, we have to go through quite a process. But this year we got an extra $125,000 for going through that process. So those are quite a bit of money between those two items that we got, which sort of helps our bottom line. So two items that we have to do to finish up this fiscal year. We have the updated appropriations. They're sort of out of order, but if you want to open that one, Bill. These are the last two. We approved the May one. If you look at the column for this, the June 23rd. We had a couple of items. That's the private schools, the auxiliary schools. We got some additional money, that's $17,000. We didn't have it in the appropriations, we have to put it in there to spend it. Class size reduction, those are also grants that we didn't know about. Sometimes when other districts don't spend their money, the state gives it to us or other districts. But if we don't have it appropriated, we can't spend it, so we have to put it in there and appropriate it. So that's what that is at the end of the year, and you'll just see that. And then if you want to go back and open the certificate, so the process goes, you have to put a certificate of estimated resources, which tells the auditor, here's how much money we think we're going to get, and then, oh, by the way, now we're going to spend it. So you can see we got the 24,000 in there, if you want to scroll down. There you go. So you see, we put the 24,000 in there. That's the extra money we got. And I think that might be the only one we had. Yeah. So those are just processes. It's just stuff that I have to do, but you do have to approve that. And then there's temporary appropriations for next year. If you don't approve that next Tuesday, on July 1, nobody can pay anything. So you have to approve this. I have to get it over to the auditor's office, the county auditor, our auditor, and they have to approve it and send it back. Otherwise, we can't legally pay anything. So I know you're going to approve it. This is all part of our office. We do laugh because we have people coming in, not just teachers, but other people coming in and go, oh, isn't it nice that summer's here? And we're just pulling our hair out. Yeah. Monica's trying to put in contracts and all that kind of stuff. So this is actually our most hectic, busy time. And my staff is doing a wonderful job, I have to say that too. So those are the things that I have. We did decide, even though we don't know what the state's going to do, I think I read tomorrow they're supposed to release the conference report. In case they come out with the 30%, that we're going to have to spend the 30, we're going to have to not carry over more than 30%. And we've talked all along about the capital projects that we wanted to do. We are moving some money over into the 070 for the capital projects that we talked about, using some money for some facilities projects in the future. And then the termination benefits, that's money that we spend every year for severance for when folks retire and they get severance, or even they have to either retire or resign. And if they get like vacation that they haven't used, then that comes out of that fund. So we're moving money from the general fund into those two funds. And those are new things. And then we have three donations, to the district from Marla McCutcheon for school supplies, or they're donating school supplies. To Wigan Street from the New Life Church, donating backpacks, winter hats, and gloves, which we all need tonight. School supplies, games, water, bottles, and snacks. And to the Mount Vernon High School Art Department from the McCutcheon family, art books and art supplies. And that's all I have.
I do have a question. Going back to one of the first things you talked about was the Medicaid, and
yes.
That's a federal reimbursement. I think you said $417.
Right.
It's usually every year. Do we know what's happening there going forward?
We don't.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, it is interesting. This is from 22-23.
Exactly.
So those years are already in the process. I don't think those are going to be affected, but going forward with the cuts in Medicaid from the federal government, I don't have any idea if those are.
I just wondered if it was all tied in.
I wondered the same thing when I was looking at it, yeah. It just, sadly, it takes that long for it to all go through all the process. So I think 24 and 25 are probably going to be okay, but from here going forward, we may or may not get that. I don't know. Yeah.
Thank you.
Good question.
Hopefully with all the personnel potential cuts, we won't wait 3 years for the next one.
Right. Who knows?
Yeah.
There's a lot of who knows out there.
Yeah.
Too many. All right, I would entertain a motion for the fiscal items as presented.
So moved.
Second. Thank you, Mr. Ward and Mr. Volodai. Any additional questions? Just thank you for all the work. Sweat and tears.
Mr. Workman?
Yes.
Mr. Volodai?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Dr. Bennett?
Yes.
Mrs. Getzman?
Yes. Motion carried. All right, moving on to business services.
And the legislative meal?
Just very briefly, speaking of budgets, in House testimony to the Education Committee regarding HB 46, the biennial budget, OSBA's Jennifer Hogue provided testimony, and OSBA requests that HB 96, I said 46, I don't have my reading glasses, I apologize, that HB 96 be amended to use the fiscal year 2024 data for the funding formula. And then Ms. Hogue also proposed that career technical centers, ESC, et cetera, also be made part of the budget process. At this particular time of this House meeting dates, 130 bills have been proposed and none have been passed.
Okay.
They're monitoring all of those. OSBA is carefully monitoring. So at this time, we have no other information from the state of what's going to happen.
I will say Judy and I have taken the position, we're not losing any sleep.
No, you can't.
No point. What happens is gonna happen, and we'll advocate as we can, and there you go.
We have a lot of people that are advocating,
yes,
who are not even in education, but know the importance of public schools.
Item B, items for approval tonight. The first two are primary service agreements working through the ESCs with two of our private schools in the area. The third one is East Central Ohio ESC service contract, working quite frankly with department out, Village Network out there in that area. Our Student Wellness and Success Funds, that DPIA money, which as you're aware, when we went CEP, that really increased. We have to, on a yearly basis now, another thing we have to remember to do is we have to have a plan, and we have to talk about how we're going to spend it. So we've kind of just, in a very general way, put a plan so that we had something in place so we can meet that requirement. And then the item that we added to the agenda tonight, Wright Specialty Insurance Renewal, those 5 items for your approval tonight.
I would entertain a motion for the board items as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Workman.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. Any additional questions? Hearing none, would you call the roll?
Mr. Workman.
Yes.
Mr. Ward.
Yes.
Ms. Regola-Dye.
Yes.
Dr. Bennett.
Yes.
Mrs. Getzmann.
Yes, motion carried. Okay. No student service items this evening, so we will move right on to certificated and licensed staff.
All right, the smallest segment of our agenda tonight. I'm glad you were able to get this on Friday, because it might have taken you the weekend to take a look at our items. But this tends to be that month where we do a lot of hiring, committee work, extended service contracts, supplemental fall contracts. So I'm just going to go down through these, and if you have questions, I'll do the best I can to answer them. First is really, sometimes we're finishing up this year. So we have a couple salary change notices, and we did have a couple supplemental contracts here to finish out this year. And those are for our 3rd grade guarantee students. So we had some kids that didn't quite pass. And the parents and teachers have said, hey, we'll work with them over the summer to try to get them one more opportunity to kind of pass that 3rd grade guarantee, and parents agree to do that. So those are some supplemental contracts there. As we look at next year, the 25-26 school year, we do have a couple resignations. Rob Gross, assistant principal. Rob was with us for 12 years, and he got an opportunity to go really close to home. He's going back to Ashland. His son's a freshman. The drive isn't there, but Rob's going to be sorely missed. He's kind of become a mainstay at the middle school. Also, Laura Gentis at Power of the Pen, and then Trevor Marco. We found out right around Memorial Day. He was going back to the collegiate level, and so that that put us in a bit of a scramble right after Memorial Day to fill a really important position, which is the music and band director. And then Nate Peck, a science teacher at the high school, actually moved closer to where he lives as well. And science teachers aren't the easiest to find. We do have a couple of administrative contracts that their contracts are up. Margie Ark, Dr. Eric Brown, and Carmen Griffith, and then a one-year administrative contract for Angela Thompson. We do have a number of new teachers, and so we'll certainly recognize them in August and at our opening convocation. But Tyranny Lyons will serve as art teacher at Mount Vernon Middle School. Christine Nomuff will serve as social worker at Pleasant Street. Josh Nowicki, we just got him on board Friday of last week. He's going to come in as the new assistant principal at Mount Vernon Middle School. Lindsay Patrick will serve as a reading specialist at Columbia. Lydia Severins will serve as an intervention specialist at Dan Emmett. Kaylee West will serve as an art teacher at Dan Emmett at East. Christy Zimmerman will serve as a science teacher at Mount Vernon. We actually were able to find a really quality science teacher. We have a number of teacher contracts that are always due at this time of the year, and again, those follow a cycle, 1, 2, and 3-year contracts. So there's a list of your 1-year teacher contracts. Means they're probably teachers with us. They get 3 1-year contracts before they move on. And then you see some 2-year contracts there, and then a number of 3-year contracts. And they stay on a 3-year contract until they go to continue. And a couple transfers, Kristen Campbell, who spent 18 years at Twin Oak, and just is an amazing first grade teacher, is taking on a new role in the communication and autism behavioral unit. It just fits her really well. I know it's hard to leave a place after 18 years, so I know there's a little bit of tears there, but she's going to do a great job. Julia Holler, she interviewed and is moving from assistant band director to the head band director. Natalie Swanson's moving from kindergarten to first grade at Twin Oak, and then Hannah Wildermuth will move from Dan Emmett to Twin Oak. And so we're still now searching at Dan Emmett. The dominoes kind of fall sometimes, as they will. You see a number of supplemental contracts and extended service contracts. Our social workers, our counselors, and some of our specialty folks get extended service days, and so you see a list of those there. Already approving our substitute teacher list for next year. We do have 1 full year substitute at Wigan Street for a year-long leave of absence. Then we have a few professional committees, our health insurance, LPDC, master teacher, teacher evaluation, and district leadership team. So those are our professional committees that we do on a yearly basis. And we had one last one, a summer work crew member, Chris Bartol, is really kind of shaping up all the Chromebooks. We turn them back in and we really clean them and go through them and do that. So item A through J for your approval.
All right, I would entertain a motion for A through J in the class of, the certified.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Regola-Dye.
I'll second.
Thank you, Dr. Bennett. Any questions?
No question, but just a comment. Unbelievable work. Thank you. And also, thank you to Jessica for typing all these names.
Yeah.
Jessica and Beth do a really good job of that. And there's a lot of folks that do a lot of interviewing, from teacher interview teams to principals to curriculum folks. So there's a lot of people that make this work. So
thank you for that. Would you call the roll, please?
Ms. Regola-Dye?
Yes.
Dr. Bennett?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Mr. Workman?
Yes.
Mrs. Getzmann?
Yes. Motion carried. Moving on to classified staff.
no items for information at this time. Again, similarly, recommended items for board approval. We have a couple one-year contracts. Tara Clark is going to step in as a high school secretary. And she'll be stepping in for Jen Grassball, who stepped aside, but now is getting hired at Dan Emmett as a teacher. So That's really kind of a neat story, especially folks who maybe don't start out in the teacher world and realize what an impact they can make. Darcy Hahn has made that transition once for us, and now Ms. Grassball has as well. Annette Geppinger is going to be a library aide at the high school. Wyatt Egan is second shift maintenance, and Andrew Campbell, bus driver. A couple 2-year contracts you can see there, some substitute employment, and then a couple resignations that came in late, and then a couple retirements that came in late. So we have a couple resignations you can see there. One I think I would like to just highlight here because she snuck it in late, so she didn't get recognized at our May meeting. But she happens to be here tonight. And I saw Jean when she came in and decided to retire. And we talked briefly in the hallway just about storage bins, and she's got a lot of work to do. But Jean, just want to say thank you for your time at Pleasant and all that you meant to them and to the kids there. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And she's coming over to get her watch real soon here for all of her service. And I was right, storage bins, right? Yes. You say that with such enthusiasm. And then we have one rescinded contract for summer food service. These are 2 items that I added tonight, and Deb Egan is going to take on some of that summer food service role. So those items for your approval tonight.
I would entertain a motion for approval. So moved. Thank you, Ms. Regola-Dye.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Workman. Any additional questions? And congratulations, Jean, on your retirement. Would you call the roll?
Mr. Regola-Dye?
Yes.
Mr. Workman?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Dr. Bennett?
Yes.
Mrs. Getzmann?
Yes. Motion carried. All right, we will move on to board member comments. And Mr. Workman, would you like to start first today?
Sure, thank you.
Since you didn't start the meeting.
I'll
I'll pay it back. I'll let you start
Thanks.
this tonight.
I still have the gavel though.
Okay, that's true.
I'd like to thank everybody that attended tonight, especially being in the June, I'm already pushing it forward, in the June meeting, so thank you for that. And I think as you can see, the summer is not necessarily a downtime, and with all the staffing changes and needs and things, thank you to the administration for that. That is a massive job. And thank you to Judy for closing out another year. So a lot of work goes into that. So with that, and the sports teams here the last few weeks, very proud of them. So great year, and enjoy the rest of your summer.
Okay. I too would like to congratulate the sports teams. They've done a great job. Their coaches and the parental time that goes into investing in our kids is just a great thing, and to see the rewards is something. I would also like to thank, in that regard, Jill McClure and the Jacket Journal folks for being there, and that's a variety of being there. I was actually sitting on a plane in Washington watching the girls softball game through their Facebook Live as I was sitting there waiting to take off, and that was just fun to be able to stay connected to that. So I really appreciate the work they put in on that. Finally, I want to thank actually Mr. Cedar for advocating for the 5th grade outdoor adventure efforts. It's really a great way for those kids because they combine schools to start to get to know kids outside their typical circle before they get to the middle school. And I just think it's a great experience, and it's good thinking to let those kids start connecting before they all show up in August. So thank you for advocating for that.
Mary, I'm next in line. I'd like to thank our staff from from our custodians to our central office personnel, all of our administrators, and our teachers who've put in countless hours of preparation and action for our children. And I'd also like to thank the parents and the family members for supporting our great public schools, especially here in Mount Vernon. And we hope that you have a safe and healthy summer, and we look forward to another great year for the Yellow Jackets. Thank you.
Dr. Bennett?
I don't think there's anything left to say. But I'm so proud of our schools and our kids, and we saw so much about students. We do a lot of business, but it's really all about the kids. And I think Mount Vernon City Schools has a lot to be proud of. And I'd just like to thank everybody who contributed to make this year a great year. And we had a great graduation ceremony. It makes us proud to see all our kids walk across and know that we've helped them on their way. So I'm just very grateful to be a part of this, and very proud of our kids and our administration, our teachers, and our staff. So, and I hope everyone does have a very safe and healthy summer and comes back energized, ready to start the new year. Thank you.
I think after that, there is nothing left to say, except for a reminder. We talked about the free lunch program, and that's at Dan Emmett and Pleasant Street, 11:30 to 12:30, Monday through Friday. So for children 18 and under, so please visit that. They would love to serve you there. The one thing that wasn't mentioned was the Mount Vernon baseball, and they did make it to the regional semifinals. So that's the farthest they have been in quite some time. So that was exciting. But it was exciting to see the support that our community had and how they rallied around our students and our teams as they went on further down the road than usual. And it was just, the community came alive again. And it was just exciting to see the enthusiasm for Mount Vernon City Schools and for our children. I think Jeff alluded to the fact that they just don't walk on the field or on the court and perform those. You think back to the double play that the softball team had, you know that had to be rehearsed and rehearsed and rehearsed. And the way it just seems seamless when they threw that double play. But it takes hours of parents' time, kids' time, siblings' time to support their older siblings. And it's just appreciated, and it's so nice to see rewards for all of that hard work that comes. As Dr. Bennett said, graduation was beautiful. Thank you for all of those that made that happen, behind the scenes, in front of the scenes. It was great. So thank you for that celebration as well. So that's all I have as well. We do have a need to go into executive session and discuss the employment of employees, or let's see, yes, licensed staff. So I would entertain a motion to go into executive session, and no action will be taken after. Thank you. Mr. Ward?
I'll second.
Thank you, Dr. Bennett. Okay. Would you call the roll?
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Dr. Bennett?
Yes.
Mr. Workman?
Yes.
Mr. Golday?
Yes.
And Mrs. Getzmann?
Yes. Okay. So we'll go into executive session. Thank you all very much for coming tonight. Thank you for all you're doing for the trip. Wonderful.
It's adjourned.